Hello and welcome to Shop Talk Dan the Man. In today's video, we're going to talk about this. This is Ridgid's 13-inch planer. We're going to discuss how to remove the blades and how to replace them. So stay tuned to find out more. Hello, if you're new to this channel, my name is Dan Shannon. I enjoy woodworking as a hobby and being out in the shop. On this channel, dive deep into my shop as we explore tools and tool reviews, as well as chatting about everything related to woodworking. If this grabs you by the tool belt, please subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this. Welcome to Shop Talk Dan the Man. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for stopping back in. Today's video, we're going to dive into this. This is Ridgid's 13-inch model number R4331. And this is their 13-inch for your width, and it does it quite high for the height of your board, but 13 is all the width that it can cut. I do have a full review of this planer on my channel. You can click here, or I'll leave a link down below so you can check that out if you want to get the full in-depth review on this planer. But for today, we're going to dive into how to replace the blades. And every planer that you use over time, using hardwood, softwood, it doesn't really matter. Your blades on the inside will go dull. Well, what's great about the Ridgid planer, and I can't speak for other brands, but the Ridgid one is they have a double side. So there's 3 blades and they go around on the spindle, and after they get dull on the one side, you can unloosen the bolts and actually spin them around. That way you have a double-sided blade for more cuts. And I really think that's genius because you can get double the life out of each blade. Well, without further ado, let's swing around to the back and I will show you how we swap out the blades. So let's jump into that now. Blade changes. Okay, here we are on the back side. So this is your outfeed table on the back of the planer. So the first thing you want to do is unplug your planer so there's no power going to your planer. And you'll notice here the deck is up. So what you're going to want to do is go to the front and unlock your deck. So we'll swing around front. Okay, so around front, you're going to want to unlock your deck and lower it all the way to the lowest position. And once it's in its lowest position, you can lock it back up again and we'll swing around to the back side again. Okay, so now that we're at the back side of the planer, now that the deck is lowered all the way, you can take a shop vac and clean this up. Or I have an old paintbrush, just kind of give it a sweep and clean the sawdust off it really nice. That would be a good idea. So we're going to go ahead now and grab the shop vac and clean up all the sawdust to get it ready for the blades. Okay, so now that that's all vacuumed off, you have a nice clean area to work with. And on the side of your planer, there's going to be a tool that is your blade tool. So this will take off your bolts. So this is an Allen key, and then on the top there's magnets. So these magnets will come in great when we go to remove the blade. That way nothing is touching your fingers. For sharpness, you just take the bottom of the magnets and touch it down on the blade. So let's jump into that. There's going to be a few bolts you have to take off. There's one here, there's one here, and that will remove this casing. So let's jump into that now and remove these 2 bolts. And this whole cover comes off. So you can see it has a spot for the sawdust to go into the feed for your shop vac. So we're just going to set this piece aside. And you'll notice here there's lots of shavings. There's a fan in here that grabs the chips and puts it to the exhaust portion. So you can take another shop vac and clean all this out. So that's what we're going to do now, just to keep our area nice and clean. So I'll put the tool back up on top and then fire up my shop vac. Okay, so now that the area is all cleaned up, you can see we have one of the blades here. But if we didn't have that and that was too far, you can put your finger in here and turn this fan. As you can see, it's rotating the blade. So it's up to you if you want to do that. There's also a lockout switch here. So if you notice this blade stops and won't move, it's a safety. There's a red switch here on the inside. I'll show you that. So there's a red switch on the inside. And you just pull that towards yourself and it will release the locking mechanism for this blade. So just be careful when you have your hands in here. These are sharp on the edges. So we're just going to take these bolts off now and remove this top metal plate that holds the blades in their position. So let's go ahead and do that now. And I'll put them on the top as well so I know where they're at. And I thought it was really nice that Ridgid had the same Allen key for these bolts as well as the plastic covering. So that was a great job, Ridgid, for having a useful tool for all of this. Now, so you can see these bolts are quite long, so they're really well planted, and there's quite a few of them. There's 6 on this blade, so that's you can definitely tell it's on there really well, and the blades aren't going to fly anywhere, so that's a great peace of mind. Okay, so now that the bolts are removed, we can take our magnets and just lift off this metal plate. So as you can see here, it has an edge on it, and it's only able to seat exactly the same way each time. So there's little divots you can see in this metal, this cast iron, that line up, and then there's a groove that runs along here. It's actually quite dirty right now because I haven't cleaned it in a little while, but you can tell it has to be a certain way to line up back in the machine. So you don't really have to worry if you put it somewhere whether or not you're going to remember the way that it goes. So just set that aside, and it would be good to take a shot back to that as well. Give it a good clean, and so that when you install it, there's no dust that could create a little bit of a, you know, a wedge or any type of surface. And then the blade, we just take your magnets as well. Never reach in here with your hand, always use the magnets. And then you just take the magnets and drop them down, and it lifts the whole blade out of the machine. So I'm not touching it with my hand. My hand is clear. And like I said in the video earlier, these blades are double-sided, as you can see there on the blade. See if I can focus in there a little bit. There is two sides to this blade that you can see. So all I do is the one side that I had, I just spin it around, and then I can set it back. And you can see here there's holes on either side, and on the unit itself, on the inside, see if I can zoom in there, there is actual metal little posts where those slide right onto. So I'll just show you that now. To install it, you just walk it over, line it up to those little posts, and it drops in, and then you just remove your tool just like that, and make sure that it's seated proper. You can move it a little bit just to make sure it's snug down in there and it's lined up. And that is as simple as it gets. And then you just take your bracket back again. So your bracket, and this will line up just like it was before. If you wanted to use your tool, you can also use the magnet on that. But I don't, it's quite heavy, so it's probably just as easy to slide it in there without that on there. So you just line it up just like that. You can see that the holes line up. You can double check it and make sure it's not moving, wiggling, so you know it's planted nice and sturdy. And then you repeat the whole process in reverse. Put your bolts back in all the holes, all 6 of them. So it's good to note, once you get your metal bracket in place, there is 2 pinholes in the front that line up perfectly, so you know that it's on the way it should be on, and there is no play in that at all. And then you can go ahead and take your bolts and put all 6 of them back in. So now that's lined up. I just finger tighten them all the way along. Once they're finger tight, I take my tool again, and then I start going through the 6 and snug them up. Like I say, I'll start with the first one, skip one. Now it's just my own preference. So You don't have to do it that way. And then I just go back and give them one more little snug. Just a little crank. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. Just enough that you torque on it a little bit. Make sure they're nice and seated. So this thing is putting out a lot of RPM. So now that that's snug and that blade is flipped over, we can move this safety switch and spin the blade again around. Yeah, you can use the tool if you want. You don't have to use your fingers, or if you want to put gloves on, that's up to you too. So you just line that up. It locks in place again, which is a great safety to have that, so this isn't moving on you when you're trying to take the bolts out and swap out the blade. Same process. Pull all 6 out, put the metal plate aside, spin the blade, use your magnets, snap it on, spin it around, drop it in, and you do that for another time. So all 3 blades do the same process, and you'll be up and running with sharp, pretty much brand new blades, because the second side wasn't used, so it's like you got double the cutting time from each blade. And to get this back up and running, what I like to do is double check the fan here, make sure there's nothing in the way, double check the chute, maybe even check down in here, use the vacuum, make sure you get all in there, because you already have it apart. Why not make sure it's all cleaned up? So we'll go ahead now and grab the plastic case. You can see how it goes. This rounded out edge goes where the fan is, so this just slides back over like so, and then you grab your 2 bolts. One goes on this corner. Make sure you line up the threads. You don't want to strip anything. Okay, then grab your other bolt and then do the same thing on this side. Make sure that's lined up well. And you don't have to over tighten these either, because they're just holding down plastic casing. So you want to crack it, so just give it a little snug. Go back on this side, give that a little snug. And that's it. Your blades are all replaced. Your plastic housing is back on to protect any moving parts on the inside. We checked our blower fan to make sure that it was blowing the chips out proper. We cleaned all the inside, and yeah, everything was looking good in there. I didn't see any issues. It's always good to kind of eyeball what's going on the inside in case you see any some metal that's been scraped or any type of issues that way. Just keep an eye on. But everything looked good to me, just dirty from being used. We got this nice powder that was on the inside, so take the shop vac and give it another clean. Thanks for watching today's video. Hope you learned a little bit about swapping out your blades and flipping your blades around to get double the life. So this is Ridgid's 13-inch planer. Don't forget to register your planer, and then you can have the lifetime service agreement that Ridgid offers, So if anything happens to this, if it breaks, Ridgid will fix it or replace it. So that's one thing I like about Ridgid tools, is no matter what happens to them, as long as you registered within the 90 days, they will look after you for life. And yeah, thanks for watching today's video. Give me a thumbs up. And if you're not part of the Shop Talk family yet, please click on that subscribe button below so you can do that. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next video. Have a great day.